Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So this is Sabir Shah here from the channel Aviation Cadet. As everyone knows about the ill-fated flight PK8303, I will talk about that today. It's almost 2 years for that flight to be crashed. Why today? Because within these 2 years, lots of propaganda has been spread about Capt Sajjad Gul and his crew. And I feel it's dishonesty to the people who don't know any reality, and yet they come out and blame a single person, or they try to single out one person. So I'm always against that. So I will try to give the pilot's point of view here, the one who is dead, who can't defend himself. So let's blame him only. So no. So to start with, my appeal is to every pilot. In the end, it's always the pilot's fault, but we have to give some circumstances and environment, under what environments, how the pilot has behaved, how he has taken actions. So this video was sent by some Uzman Zafar KL back on 23rd May 2020, after 1 day of this incident. And some of the calls from the ATC were leaked, and those leaked calls were tried to put with the Flight Radar 24's data, which was the FDR data, the flight data recorder, and they compiled up this video. So I have muted the original video because that's all lies, that's all false, and I reconstructed this in my own way. I am an ex-Air Force pilot, and I don't have any commercial flying experience, but most of the times the flying rules and laws, they go the same. So I'm not going to talk about Airbus's technicalities or the local operating procedures at Karachi airport for any kind of action, or the ATC guy, what kind of calls they give each other. But I would try to tell you simply that where what has happened, and these calls, leak calls, they were falsely aligned with this this data to make a false assumption, false perception, to blame the pilot only, which I don't accept. So that's why after 2 years I came up with this video. So let's start. I'm not starting it from the time of descent the pilot came down. I'm just starting it from the 3,000 feet. Now why I'm starting it off the 3,000 feet? As I'm trying to make this video for a common person, so I'm starting it off the final 3,000 feet, and then the first landing approach, which was failed, which became a belly landing and a touch and go. Touch and go, you touch the runway and then you go around. So belly landing, touch and go, it was first in the Airbus's history which has ever been completed, and that was Capt Sajjad Gul. So I want to give him a credit for that. Then the person came back for the second approach, and he was too high on the second approach. That's why he went round again. And then he came for the third approach, and due to malfunction of his lots of instruments, every instrument in the cockpit, I assume, was not working at its best. So that's why the crash happened. So because after the first approach, the first touch and go, the plane, according to FDR, could reach up to 3,000 feet, the maximum, 2,975 feet. So I will show you that it took the plane 6 minutes and 47 seconds from this point, from 3,015 feet, till first belly landing touch and go, second go round, and third fatal approach. It took it 6 minutes and 47 seconds. So bear with me. That's why I'm starting it off 3,015 feet. So at 3,015 feet, Capt Sajjad Gul and the first officer, they are already too high, and the speed is too high. Their plane is in a steep dive, trying to come up to the height where they can easily land on the runway available. But because of the Airbus's limitations, if your speed is above 190 knots, your landing gears do not open. So whatever happened before this one, I'm not going to talk about that for now in this video. I'm just saying that by the 3,015 feet, Captain Sajjad Gul already realized that he's too high and he can't make it. So he decided to go around. He was given clearance by the ATC, the air traffic controller, to land on runway 27 left. And he affirmed that one at this point. But by reaching 2,000 feet, he could feel that he's going to overshoot the runway. So he performed a go-round. So performing this go-round, Airbuses are not like cars that you put the accelerator in and then whoop, they get the speed up. No, there's this engine spooling time of about 8 to 10 seconds. And then by the weight of the aircraft, the gravity is being pulled down at the rate of the gravity being pulled down, it takes a little bit of time to come out of that dive. So that's exactly what has happened. FDR data and the preliminary report sent by the Civil Aviation Pakistan confirms that the landing gears were raised at the 1,700 feet and they were all up and locked at 500 feet. So there's no way he was coming for landing. He was recovering from a drag down on high speed approach, which he realized right over at this point when he was given joining, and the first correct action to do is to go around, but the plane did not allow him to do that. So check this up.
303 going wrong.
As you could hear that around at this time, he was given the runway to land, and by 1,700 feet, he decided to go around, so he pulled the gears up, which were not open, I assume, because of the speed. At this time, the FDR shows that speed was above 240 knots, so there was no way the landing gears would have retracted, would have come down. So because they were not down, and there's a chime, you could hear that ding 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 ding, which shows clearly that gears were not down and locked. So that's why that chime. So he heard it. So the first go round he did was at this spot, and that's where the ATC guy gave him the directions to turn left, heading 180, because if, let's say, this is the runway, so he's approaching, he's coming here, and he knows that he can't land, so he says, I'm going to go around. So the ATC told him to take a turn left to heading 180, this one is 270 to 180, go straight, make another circle, and come down and land again. So the call was misplaced by this guy, Usman Zafar, over here. Wrong. This is the correct way. Or right after the touchdown, the first belly landing touchdown, that time he said, I'm going round. So there's only two possibilities, because he already performed the gears up action. Gears were up by 500 feet, so he has no way that he was coming for landing, but because of the momentum, because of the gravity, because of gravity being pulled down, the aircraft is coming down, there's no way you can stop it. It takes its time. When engine gets their full power, then they start to give the lift, otherwise the plane would still be coming down. So that's what exactly happened. So now let's see. Let me play. See? Too much speed, too much speed. He holds, there's a lag between the instruments and the reading being shown. $750 feet. That was the time when the gears were fully up. So it means that he knew that he has to go round. See, 75 feet, actually that's the touchdown point. Touchdown, going round. So if you look at the time, I'm playing it with the real time. If I touch this screen, you would see 1 minute and 28 seconds. According to the FDR, the data released by the Civil Aviation Authority and the flightradar24.com, when the plane was at 3,000 feet, it was at about 5 nautical miles away from the touchdown. So it was behind the runway, 5 nautical miles, and it was at 3,000 feet. So it took it with high speed, took 1 minute and 28 seconds for the touchdown. And where the bumpy landing happened, the engines got scraped, and many systems got failure, and in one of them is the altimeter. Altimeter is the one which tells the height from the ground or height from the sea level. So Karachi's elevation is 84 feet on that day. 84 feet, so if it's 84 feet, that should be 0 degree above ground level, 0 feet above ground level, but the instruments show 84 feet above the ground, above sea level. So there are two kinds of altimeters, showing ASL and showing AGL. So once it touched down, it went round. Now that's where there could be another go round call, which is, I'm going round. So if he didn't perform the call at the when he was 1,700 feet away, high from the runway, then he must have given the call here. That's why the ADC guy gave him 180, because once you touch down, right, this is the runway, and the plane comes, it touches down. Now it has to come back to the same approach. So 180 would be right away clearing the runway, flying towards that side, going back, making a circle, and then coming out and land again. So here at this time, Captain Sajjad Gul has put the aircraft into his left bank and trying to go back to the approach, the ILS approach. So let's see. Now look, watch carefully. 200 feet, 300 feet, 400, 500. I've turned the music off. This music was put by the same Mr. Usman Zafar, so I had to eliminate that one. So now it's going to around 800 feet. See, it's turning, trying to go back to the runway, 1,000 feet. At this time, I am 100% sure that his altimeter got problems because of this shock on the runway. So the altimeter was showing at least 500 plus, 500 to 1,000 feet more. So right now we are seeing 1,800 feet, but his plane was showing 2,800 feet. I would tell you why. Now see, let it get to its, so now the whole time the plane is turning, going back to, and here he asked for the ILS approach again. 2,600 now, 2,700. I will pause the video here to explain. 2,875, and the maximum height was 2,975.
We are comfortable now, and we are out of 3,500 for 3,000. Established ILS 25 left.
So you are 5 miles from touchdown, distance passing 3,000 silent.
Sir, we are established on ILS 25 left.
Okay. So by these calls, he descended down to 2250, but 2975 is the maximum height he reached. But listen to the calls. What's he saying? He's saying that I am coming from 3,500 to 3,000 feet. Did he ever touch 3,000 feet? No, but his instruments were showing 500 extra feet for some reasons, malfunction because of the impact, 4-time impact to the ground. So that's where the problem started. He's sure that he's at 3,500 feet and he's reaching to 3,000 feet, but he was at 2,975 feet and was coming for 2,500 feet. What's the ADC guy saying? He's telling him, sir, you are 5 nautical miles away from the runway and you are passing 3,500. So the ADC guy also had a lag, an error of at least 400 feet. Mark my words, at least 400 feet, because when the final report is going to come out, you would know about that. So here, Captain Sajjad Gul is 5 nautical miles away from the runway. He's at around 2,900 feet, which is still too high for an Airbus to land. The Airbus should have been at approximately 1,800 to 2,000 feet by that time. So he was still too high. Still, the engines didn't have much of the problem because his airspeed confirmed that he was flying with a normal airspeed. So look at this, 2,975 feet. How long did he take? Look at the time, 3 minutes and 4 seconds. 1 minute and 28 seconds from 5 nautical miles away from the runway till the touchdown, and from the touchdown back to the same position, he took exactly 1 minute and 20 some seconds. Because I told you he was with constant bank trying to go back to the runway, and the distance covered initially equals the distance covered lately. So both the timings match. At this call, he was already in line with the runway, coming for another approach, but higher than the previous one. He was at 3,500. His instruments were showing 35. He was at 3,000, but he was actually at 2,975, reaching up to 2,500. And that's why he was so sure. So he told the ATC guy that, sir, we are comfortable. We can land. Now he's at about 1975, but his instruments are showing what? Plus 500, around 2,500. And if you consider the time that now it's coming for landing. It's coming for landing. It's around 2 to 3 nautical miles away from the touchdown. See, 1925, I said that there's a lag in the instruments. They show the readings a little later, so there must be a sudden drop. You will see that drop right away. 1925, see, there we go. So it doesn't hold. It's impossible to hold one height. You know, it's always pressure variation, so planes, they change. Now, around this time, his instruments are showing 2,000 plus feet, okay? And he's around 1 to 2 nautical miles away from the runway. There's no way he can touch down. That's where he performed the second go-round. And you would see, let it go down, down, down. Now the plane is coming for the landing. It's coming down. Now he thinks the runway is right under him, and he can't land on this runway. And he would get his gears up. And you would see when the gears are up, there is a sudden height increase because the aircraft is lighter now, less drag on that one. So it's natural tendency for the aircraft to go up, gain a few feet. So 1,500, and you see, 1,575. That's where 1,550 performing go round now. So he's going to put his gears up. The aircraft is going to be having less drag, so it's going to lift up. Just give me a second. $1,475. 1450. See, there the aircraft is gaining height again because that's where the second go round was called.
303 going round.
Yes. And he will.
For side 303, we would like to come again for ILS 25 left.
Descend left heading 110, climb 3000.
Left heading confirm.
From left heading 110, climb 3000. 8303, you are dropping altitude 2000.
So till now, look at the height. So the aircraft, because the gears were up again, it went up till 1800 feet, gain a few. Now his instruments are showing plus 500, so that's 2300 around. That's what I'm saying. So he's well sure that he's at a good height at the moment. So now he asked for another approach, the third attempt. Okay, where is he at the moment? I'm sure that he is over the runway, right above the runway on that height. So that's why the ADC told him, this time the ADC didn't give him 180. This time the ADC gave him 110. So this is 270. 110 is almost at the backside. So the aircraft is turning and it has to get, now this is the place where the engines started to lose power. So they were at 100% maybe in the beginning, but now they're dropping down to 29% or 90%, 80%, 70%, and eventually they got failed. So look at the time. So here, by the second go round, it's 5 minutes and 53 seconds. So remember, the first touchdown from 3,000 feet, the aircraft took 1 minute and 28 seconds. Then from the touchdown going back to the same 3,000 feet height, it took another 1 minute and 32 seconds. And now, because now the plane is slower, the engines are shutting down, it has slow speed. FDR confirmed that he was well below 190, 180, 170, 160, sometimes 150 knots. So he was slower. So it took him 2 minutes for the second approach to come back from 3,000 to come back on top of the runway. So let me tell you again. First approach, 1 minute 28 seconds, touch and go, going back, coming back to the first approach, 3,000 feet, another 128 seconds, 1 minute and 28 seconds. Now for the final touchdown, it took him 2 minutes and he overshoot the runway. So he was given 110, so he came back and he asked for another approach, the third one. Now here, both of his engines got failed. So watch.
Sir, we have just give me 2,000.
So maintain 2000. More charging showing 1800 feet at descent.
So see, at this point, 1521, his altimeter is showing what? His altimeter is showing around 2,000 plus. And did you hear what this guy said, the guy from ATC? He said Mode Charlie is one of their altimeter installed at ATC with which to tell the real height of the aircraft. So he's saying that Mode Charlie is showing that you are dropping 2,000 feet. But during this whole final length, the aircraft never touched 2,000 feet here on this FDR, which is the real data. Never touched that one. What does that mean? That the Mode Charlie, the air traffic controller, his altimeter was not adjusted to the daily QNH. It was not recalibrated, you could say. So that's why there's an error of at least 300 to 400 feet with the ADC guy and 600 to 700 feet of height error with Captain Sajjad Gul. So from then onwards,
Copied, sir. We are now maintaining, trying to maintain, sir.
trying to maintain.
18303 approach.
Ji, sir.
Saying now the plane is going in, runways here, the plane is trying to make a circle, right, and trying to come back to land on this runway. Okay, it's heading 110. So, and then of course, it's gonna, ILS approaches are like that. So you catch the glide path and then you land down. And he said he has lost the engines, both the engines. So now it's only the the drag is increasing and then the plane is going down as well. So listen to the call.
Appears to be turning left.
Because ATC was being shown that now he was going in straight direction. This is the runway, and he was 110. He's maintaining this one, but then he realized, no, my engines are lost. I can't make it to that far and come back. So he tried to initiate the turn and land within the turn, maintaining that turn and then land back. And that's where the ATC guy asked him, are you turning left? And he's saying, yes, we can't make it. Both engines failed, so we're going to turn left and we're going to land down. So watch. Affirm.
While proceeding that, sir, we have lost engines.
See?
Confirm you are carrying out belly landing.
Look at the height, 621, and there's a sudden decrease in the height because the landing gears were pulled down. The drag is more. Flaps might be down or not. We don't know. We will see that in the final report because somehow the preliminary report has only the first touch and go data on that one. They didn't show after what happened after the first touch and go. So you can see that report, I told you, dishonestly presented just to blame the pilot. So here there's a sudden drop in the height because the landing gear is down, probably the speed breaker is down, probably the flaps down, but as being a pilot, I think that he would not use those options because he wants to have only the important instruments to be used, and gears is the only important thing at that time. So the drag increases, it's going down, and he thinks he's at around, what's the 621. So he is thinking that he is at about 1,100 to 1,200 feet. His instruments are showing that. So he could definitely make a turn and land right at the edge of the runway. But his instruments were wrong. The wrong QNH setting was given to him because ATC guy was also wrong. He had an error of 400 feet at least, which I've shown just now. And so his calculations according to 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, or 2,000 feet were correct. He was going to land there, but because of less 500 feet on his height, he landed with nose high, which he can't see the runway, he can't see the population, the buildings in front of him because his nose is high. And you've seen in the final video that the nose was this high when it was coming down. It was in landing configuration, plane coming down to land, and he was fully sure. That's why if you see his here, mayday call, it's not panicked.
Runway available to land at 25.
Listen to
Sir, mayday, Pakistan 8303.
Pakistan 8303, roger sir, both runways available to land.
371 feet. That's where the data finishes. So that's my 2 cents for this video. I just uploaded the first one with only 6 minutes and 47 videos, but for explanation, I required a little bit more of the time. I was very in a huge rush. So the video is almost half an hour long. Please bear it. Any questions, drop in the comments.